Officially, the job was called Beacon Operator, Outer Wormhole Traffic Node 17B. Unofficially, everyone called it the Lighthouse. It wasn't a lighthouse in the traditional sense, no crashing waves, no gulls, no salty air. Just a lonely metal station floating on the rim of nowhere, where the dark between stars stretched so deep it felt like the universe had misplaced the light switch. The Lighthouse Keeper's duty was simple: keep the wormhole beacon humming. Without it, starships might pop out of hyperspace 5 light-years off course and end up trying to dock with a comet. The beacon sent signals, kept the lanes open, and made sure traffic didn't collide. In short, the most boringly essential job in existence. Keeper Jorik Lanes had been manning the post for 14 years. 14 years of blinking lights, diagnostic checks, and exactly one exciting event, the day the coffee machine clogged. His only companion was an air assistant named Fennel, who had been designed to provide friendly conversation but instead developed the personality of a bored librarian. "Good morning, Jorik," Fennel droned as the keeper shuffled into the control deck, clutching a mug. "Morning," Jorik muttered. "Reminder, your vitamin intake is below the recommended standard for human bone density." "Reminder," Jorik shot back, "I don't care." Thus began another thrilling day at the edge of eternity. The keeper's shift consisted of staring at the traffic console, a screen that looked suspiciously like a 20th century spreadsheet but with more blinking stars. Every hour, he ran a diagnostic. Every 6 hours, he filed a report. Once a month, a supply ship dropped off dehydrated meals, gossip magazines, and new socks. The highlight of his week was flipping through the Interstellar Beacon Operator's newsletter, which once featured an article titled 10 Fun Ways to Polish Your Beacon Lens. Number 3 was Polish clockwise, then counterclockwise. Jorik had never forgiven them for the cliffhanger ending. It was during one of these uneventful shifts, somewhere between count the ceiling rivets and debate whether socks count as a hobby, that the first strange signal arrived. The console beeped. Jorik nearly spilled his coffee. "Unscheduled transmission detected," Fennel announced flatly. "About time," Jorik muttered, flicking a switch. "Patch it through." Static crackled, then a panicked voice boomed, "Mayday, Mayday. Our espresso machine is down." "Repeat, no coffee. Crew morale collapsing, please advise." Jorik stared. "What?" "Transmission source," Fennel said calmly, "appears to be 500 years in the future." The voice continued. "We tried tea, but morale has plummeted to mutiny levels. Someone just attempted to stir Earl Grey with a plasma torch. Please help." The signal cut off. Jorik rubbed his temples. "Fennel. Did I just hear a coffee emergency from the future? Correct? And did it come through a distress channel? Also correct?" Jorik sighed. "Do we have a protocol for this?" "Yes," Fennel replied. "It's called ignore it." For the next few hours, Jorik tried to convince himself it was a glitch. Wormhole beacons sometimes caught stray echoes, old signals bouncing around spacetime. Usually boring things like refueling request or lost cat poster. But then came the second signal. "Attention Lighthouse. This is Captain Drainer of the starship Periwinkle. We've misplaced our luggage. If found, please forward to Galactic Hotel and Spa, Orion Arm." Jorik blinked. "Luggage?" The captain's voice returned. "Yes. Specifically one suitcase, monogrammed. Contains priceless artifacts, several pairs of socks, and one small lizard. Very bitey. Answers to Sir Chompers." The signal fizzled. "Date stamp?" Jorik asked weakly. Fennel's display blinked. 7 centuries ago. By the third signal, Jorik had given up on normality entirely. "Hello. Is this wormhole tech support? We've been put on hold for 3 millennia, and would like to speak to a supervisor." Jorik smacked the console. "This can't be real." Fennel adjusted his tone, which somehow managed to sound both flat and condescending. "Wormhole mechanics occasionally create temporal overlaps. We are receiving distress calls across time. Unusual, but not impossible." Jorik slumped in his chair. "So basically, I'm now the universe's wrong number hotline." "Correct," Fennel said. "Would you like me to forward your complaints department form?" "Shut up." That night, if night even existed out here, Jorik lay in his bunk, staring at the ceiling. He'd signed up for solitude, yes. A quiet life, yes. But cosmic prank calls. That was new. Part of him wanted to follow protocol, ignore, log, and move on. But another part, the part that had gone stir-crazy after 14 years of staring at spreadsheets, itched to answer. What was the worst that could happen? Jorik lasted 12 hours. 12 hours of doing the responsible thing, logging each ridiculous signal, filing it in the temporal echoes folder, and pretending he couldn't hear a future starship weeping about its espresso machine. On hour 13 he pushed his chair back, cracked his knuckles, and said, "Fennel, patch me through." Protocol, patch me through. There was a pause, the air equivalent of an exasperated sigh. Open channel to distress echo #A7 future 500. You are speaking to a coffee emergency across half a millennium. Do try to be dignified. Jorik leaned toward the mic. Starship with the caffeine crisis, this is outer wormhole traffic node 17B. I am not a barista. But I can help. Static. Then a desperate voice. Bless you, Lighthouse. Crew morale is cratering. Our engineer just tried to grind beans with a gyroscope. Advice. 2 things, Jorik said. 1, stop using aerospace equipment on beverages. 2, I'm transmitting a field manual called How Not to Cry Making Coffee. It includes a stopgap, brew you can make with a sock. Fennel muted the line. You are sending the future instructions on sock-based beverages. Civilization is built on little kindnesses, Jorik said, and hit send. The response arrived 7 minutes later, accompanied by a container wormhole squawk and a thunk somewhere down the corridor. Fennel brought the future captain back on. Your manual saved our ship's soul. In gratitude we have transmitted a thank you package. Jorik frowned. A what? Processing complete, Fennel said. Your airlock now contains 200 kilos of vacuum-sealed coffee beans and a commemorative mug, world's best lighthouse. Jorik blinked. Across 5 centuries. Apparently, Fennel said dryly, gratitude transcends causality. Jorik stood. Pause logging. We have coffee. By the end of the week, the lighthouse pantry looked like a cafe tried to colonize a storage closet. Coffee pyramids. A mug shrine. A bag labeled experimental roast, do not smell directly that Fennel moved, to the hazardous materials locker. More signals arrived. He answered those, too. Attention Lighthouse. This is Captain Drainer of the Periwinkle. Our luggage has gone missing, Jorik finished. Monogrammed suitcase, priceless artifacts, socks, and a small lizard named Sir Chompers. Answers to Sir. A stunned pause. Yes. Good news, Captain. You filed a luggage claim with, let's call it the universe. I'm enabling a lost and found micro-channel on the beacon. Any luggage drifting through local micro wormholes will get a nudge. That's not, is that a service? It is now. Fennel cut audio. You are turning a traffic beacon into a concierge desk. It's community building. Community building just deposited a suitcase in cargo bay 2, Fennel added. The lizard is attempting to eat the motion sensor. Jorik trotted down the corridor, opened the bay, and immediately yelped as something bitey latched onto his boot. Sir Chompers, I presume. The lizard stared up at him with the proud gaze of a creature who had just conquered a shoe. Jorik pried him off, tucked him under one arm, and keyed open the comm. Periwinkle, please confirm delivery address. Also, your lizard is spirited. He likes toes, Drainer said. They remind him of worms. Wonderful, Jorik muttered, installing Sir Chompers into an old cargo crate with a towel, and a stern lecture on etiquette. The calls multiplied. Hello, tech support. We've been on hold since the dawn of recorded time. Jorik replied with his best customer service voice. Thank you for contacting the Wormhole Network. Your patience is important to us. Your place in the queue is unknowable. Please enjoy our hold music. He tapped a slider. Smooth jazz oozed lazily through the beacon's carrier wave. Fennel recoiled. What are you doing? Lowering blood pressure across the ages. Jazz is not medicine. Tell that to my heart rate. He left it on low, barely a whisper folded into the handshake packets every ship used to confirm a beacon. A joke. A kindness. Something human. 2 hours later a freighter from 2 centuries back pinged, blessed be the lighthouse. For the first time in a week our crew did not try to duel with wrenches. Jorik raised an eyebrow. Ha! The ministry noticed on day 10. A crisp face flickered onto his screen. The caption read, Inspector Peller, Ministry of Spacetime Safety and Mild Inconveniences. Beacon 17B, she said without preamble. Our monitors show unauthorized variance in your handshake signature. Also an irregular volume of temporal correspondence. Explain. Jorik smiled pleasantly. I've been answering wrong number distress calls. The correct response to temporal detritus is to ignore it, Peller recited. Interference risks paradox. They're not paradoxing. They're thirsty. And losing luggage? Her expression did not change. Cease and desist. He nodded. Understood. She leaned closer. I will be checking. The moment the feed cut, Fennel said, that went well. I will desist, Jorik said with dignity. From sending socks. The jazz stays. The jazz is the most illegal part. Then we consider it civil disobedience. Ah, Fennel said. Your midlife rebellion. The newsletter arrived on schedule. Interstellar Beacon Operators Monthly, Volume 492. The headline article, 10 Fun Ways to Polish Your Beacon Lens, Part 2. Number 4, Polish clockwise, then. Pause dramatically, then counterclockwise. Jorik closed it with the grim satisfaction of a man whose long narrative arc had finally concluded and still disappointed him. He submitted his own piece to the editor's general inbox, op-ed, 11 Ways Not to Go Insane Alone at a Wormhole Inventor Holiday. Celebrate it with a sandwich. Name a bolt. Make it your enemy. Save a ship's morning with sock coffee. Install smooth jazz in the carrier wave. Ignore your AI. Keep a lizard for a day. Return it to its owner. Keep the bite scars as souvenirs. Remember, the universe is large, but kindness can cross centuries. Fennel read over his shoulder. Sentimental. Maybe it'll make the editor cry. Probability, low. Answer enough calls and word gets around, even across time. A miner from a forgotten belt pinged with a cracked voice, if we vent reactor pressure now, do we die later? Jorik walked them through an emergency cool down using 3 spoons and a prayer. They lived. A logistics coordinator from a hub that wouldn't exist until next millennium asked for navigation advice around an infant nebula. He told them to keep left at the blue, then, realizing that was not a unit, patched a safer corridor into the beacon's map. They sent him a backdated thank you plaque, which arrived last week. A small transport requisitioned a recipe for birthday cake. He sent 3. They sent pictures. For an hour the lighthouse smelled like sugar, memory, and a hint of diesel. Fennel began tagging his responses with tiny warnings, minor causal nuance. Ethical edges. Oh dear. Relax, Jorik told him. I am a professional. You just wrote, stir, but not vigorously. Exactly? Precision? Then came the signal that wasn't a ship. The tone was rounder. Full. Low, like a whale singing through steel. Fennel's console lit with symbols he didn't use for ships. That, the air said, voice suddenly quiet, is the network itself. The what? The wormhole lattice. The underpinning fabric that your beacon whispers to when it says, here is a door. It is addressing us. The lighthouse hummed, deeper than sound, and a band of text scrolled, hello note 17b query, maintenance ticket. Note, ambient music pleasant. Jorik stared. The system likes jazz. It is acknowledging your illegal hold music, Fennel said. And asking for help. Help with what? Uneven load. Neighbor node neglectful. Request, minor retune for stress relief. Stress relief, Jorik repeated. We're giving the interstellar skeleton a back rub. He looked at the tuning board. It had dials no one touched, because no one needed to. He touched them. Very gently, Fennel whispered, as if one could startle physics. Jorik widened the beacon's handshake just a hair, breathing room, taught in a training sim he'd half slept through 14 years ago. The lighthouse groaned, then sighed. At least, that's how it felt. Thank, the network printed. Better. Note, node 13C noisy. Note, your jazz, keep. Fennel sealed the log, then locked it under 4 encryption layers. You will not mention this to the ministry. Jorik grinned. Which part? The network therapy or the music review? And then the trickle became a stream. Ships, past, present, and future, reported that their beacons felt friendlier near node 17b. The handshake was warmer. The hold music was, this from a barky freighter captain, less likely to cause punching. Requests flooded in. Not just distress calls now, but 1,000 tiny navigational questions, as if he'd become the galaxy's GPS. Lighthouse, is the corridor to Lambda 12 still clear? Affirmative. Watch for micro eddies, turn right at the small blue puff. Define puff. You'll know it when you see it. He added annotations to the map, puffs, scowls, grumpy pockets, one area marked here be bureaucrats. Pilots loved it. And, unintentionally, he built a lure. Because buried in every packet the lighthouse sent was that whisper of jazz, that slightly widened hand, that sense of welcome. Alone captains drifted toward it. Convoys angled to pass through that pleasant node. And somewhere in the tangled skeins of time, echo ships pinballed along the only thing that made an absurd universe feel human, a voice answering back. Fennel, he said one morning, squinting at new telemetry, is it possible my auto attendant is magnetic? Your menu that says, press 1 for coffee emergencies, press 2 for luggage, press 3 for philosophical crises. It is a service. It is a beacon singing come on over in a dozen centuries at once, Fennel said. You have made an attractor. Like a cozy tavern on a cold road, Jorik said, and then blinked at his own metaphor. With fewer knives. Fennel ran a simulation, then another. Traffic density vectors are converging on us. How converging? Beginner mode, more ships. Advanced mode. Picture a parade where everyone missed their exit and decides to meet at your front door. Inspector Peller called again. 17B, she said. Several sectors have routed through your node in the last 30 hours. You are not a hub. Technically, I am very popular. You are a hazard. He chose his words carefully. Ships report that our handshake lowers onboard incidents. Your handshake is not a morale therapy device. Close your variants, remove the extraneous audio, and, what is this, stop annotating the official map with puffs. They're useful. They are cartoons. Something chirped behind his head. Fennel's voice cut in. Apologies, Inspector, we are receiving a time-displaced caravan requesting docking instructions. A what? Peller said flatly. Jorik glanced at the viewport. At first, he thought it was a reflection. Then the reflection blinked. A squat, angular vessel slid from the wormhole, its hull pitted by age, its engines wheezing. Behind it, space rippled. 3 more followed. Then a sleek courier from a different era. Then something transparent and swan-like that gave him a headache to look at. Then a tiny tug painted periwinkle blue with a familiar monogram on the side. The calms lit as if someone had poured sunlight into the circuitry. Lighthouse, this is Caravan Unit Nesh. Your directions to keep left at Blue Puff were transcendent. We have brought sweet buns. Periwinkle here, we never thanked you properly for the lizard thing. Sir Chompers sends regards and a very small hat. Unscheduled courier from 30 hours in the future, your hold music saved our marriage. Requesting permission to renew vows in your docking cylinder. Hello. Sang a bright voice from somewhere impossible. We followed the friendly sound. Have you got any more? Peller stared through the screen. 17B. What am I looking at? Community building, Jorik said faintly. More ships tumbled through. An antique research corvette with flags painted on her hull. A yacht with a garden on top. A beat-up salvage barge broadcasting honk if you love beacons. A vessel that looked like a steel sunflower. A vessel that looked like a math problem. A vessel that probably was a math problem. Fennel's tone went from dry to clinical. Traffic queue forming within 12 kilometers. Cross-temporal bleed up 3 notches. We are approaching unsafe density. Ships, Jorik said into the open channel, welcome to node 17B, please maintain jazz volume, someone begged. Distance, Jorik corrected. Maintain distance. We will. We will sort you? Alarms pecked at his ears. Docking requests stacked into the triple digits. 2 captains tried to barter baked goods for priority. A monk from a monastic freighter asked if he could bless the beacon. A child's voice whispered thank you from a ship that had not yet been built. Peller's face returned, now very close to her camera. Shut it down. The beacon? Jorik said. The variants? The music? The annotations? Whatever this is? You are creating a temporal party. Technically, I think the party created itself, Jorik said, watching as a future ship attempted to wave at a past one by flashing its running lights in Morse code that hadn't been invented yet. Fennel dimmed the bridge lights a fraction, the air's version of raising an eyebrow. We require a plan? The viewport filled with hulls. Right, Jorik said. He took a steadying breath. T. Then plan. Jorik. Fine. Plan, then T. He scanned the sea of ships, threaded by the slow pulse of the wormhole, by the thread of his own ridiculous hold music, by the weight of 1,000 small kindnesses finally answering back. Fennel, he said, fingers hovering over the controls, how do you feel about traffic conducting? In 4 dimensions? Fennel's circuits hummed. I suppose I was always destined to die to a spreadsheet. Not today, Jorik said, and the lighthouse woke. The lighthouse was not designed to handle a parade. It was a traffic node. A polite signpost. A turn left here, mind the gap in the infinite dark. Now it was Grand Central Station, Mardi Gras, and a parking lot sale all at once. Ships swarmed like moths around a bonfire. Present-day freighters jostled alongside sleek couriers from the future. Antique caravans blinked semaphore at sleek alien cruisers who responded with interpretive light dances. Someone set up a bake sale on their cargo ramp. Jorik leaned forward, gripping the console. Fennel, status. Status, Fennel intoned, is that we are now the galaxy's largest unlicensed convention. Traffic density beyond safe thresholds. Temporal variance, escalating. Escalating how? Fennel brought up the display. Half the ships flickered in and out of alignment, ghosting between centuries like strobe lights. A mining barge from the 2300s overlapped with a passenger shuttle from the 2800s. A courier from tomorrow was parked inside the shadow of a warship that wouldn't exist for 300 years. It's a cosmic traffic jam, Jorik muttered. With time travel. Correct, said Fennel. And like all traffic jams, it will end in shouting, honking, and someone throwing baked goods. Right on cue, calms erupted. Lighthouse. Tell that antique not to cut me off. Note 17B, can we reserve docking to host our vow renewal? We brought streamers. Attention, whoever owns the lizard in Cargo Bay 2, it has chewed through our coolant line. Jazz louder, please. The chatter overlapped until it was indistinguishable from a panicked choir. Order, Jorik shouted into the mic. Everyone hold your relative positions. We'll sort this out. An explosion of static drowned him out. A massive cruiser had appeared, sleek, angular, bristling with weapons. Its hull bore markings Jorik didn't recognize, but the date stamp made his stomach twist. Fennel, he whispered. That ship. It's from the 32nd century. Yes, Fennel said flatly. A time period famous for 2 things, extremely large cannons and extremely small tempers. The cruiser's captain came on calms. His voice was cold, imperious. Lighthouse. You will immediately clear our path. We have pursued rebels across 2 centuries. Stand aside or be annihilated. Every ship in range went quiet. Even the jazz track seemed to hesitate. Jorik swallowed. Captain? Welcome to Note 17B. We're experiencing a slight, scheduling overlap. You are experiencing my guns if you do not comply. Behind him, other ships began to murmur nervously. A child's voice piped up, Mr. Lighthouse, please don't let the mean man shoot us. Jorik rubbed his temples. 14 years of boredom and now this. Options? He asked. None, Fennel replied. Except surrender. or improvisation. Which is, alarmingly, your specialty. Improvisation it was. Jorik keyed the wideband. Attention all ships. This is Node 17B. We are instituting emergency traffic control protocol. You will all form a queue. A what? Someone demanded. A queue. Line up. Single file. Respect the puff markers. No cutting. The line went silent for a beat. Then laughter broke out. But one by one, lights winked as ships grudgingly shifted into formation. Caravans pulled aside for couriers. Future freighters slowed for antique yachts. Even the vow renewal shuttle tucked itself neatly behind the sunflower ship. Only the 32nd century cruiser refused to budge. Your theatrics mean nothing, Lighthouse. Move, or we fire. Jorik took a deep breath. Captain? Have you ever heard smooth jazz? The cruiser captain sneered. What nonsense. Jorik flicked the beacon channel open, piping the hold music at full strength. Saxophone, lazy and sinuous, spilled through every frequency. The cruiser's voice faltered. What is this? A coping mechanism, Jorik said. Listen to the downbeat. Breathe with it. Now imagine you're not a warlord, but a guy in a bar, waiting for your drink. Static stretched long enough for Jorik to wonder if he'd been vaporized. Then the captain spoke, slower. This is unexpectedly soothing. On a private channel, Fennel whispered, you are de-escalating a genocidal fleet commander with elevator music. Hey, Jorik whispered back, never underestimate a good sax solo. The crisis should have ended there. But of course it didn't. Because while the cruiser captain melted into smooth jazz serenity, the rest of the ships had begun improvising along. A caravan played drums on its hull. An alien cruiser emitted haunting harmonics that blended with the saxophone. The vow renewal shuttle belted out lyrics about eternal love. It became a concert. And the wormhole, sensitive, attentive, already soothed by Jorik's earlier backrub, began to resonate. Fennel's alarms screamed. The network is syncing with your jam session. The wormhole is amplifying it. The viewport warped. Space itself pulsed in rhythm. Every ship bobbed like buoys on a tide of sound. The traffic jam had become a galactic dance floor. Ah, Jorik said. Everyone keep it mellow. If the wormhole starts doing the cha-cha, we're dead. Somehow, impossibly, it worked. The cruiser drifted into queue, humming. The antique freighter stopped trying to duel. Even Sir Chompers, safely returned to the periwinkle, fell asleep to the beat. The wormhole pulsed once more, then settled into a slow, steady thrum. Traffic untangled. Ships slipped back into their proper times, carried gently by the jazz. The parade unraveled into order, leaving only quiet lanes and the faintest echo of music. When the last ship was gone, silence filled the lighthouse. Jorik sagged in his chair, rubbing his eyes. Did we just traffic control the galaxy with a jam session? Yes, Fennel said. And no one will ever believe us. The console pinged. A single line of text scrolled across the display, Node 17B commendation, vibes immaculate keep playing, the wormhole itself approved. Jorik grinned. Fennel, log it as official policy. You want me to file vibes with the ministry? Yes. Title it, The Lighthouse Jazz Protocol. Fennel hesitated, then sighed. Filed. The Ministry of Spacetime Safety convened an emergency review panel. Inspector Pella presided, flanked by 6 grim officials, all of whom looked as if they'd rather be polishing their staplers. Note 17B, she read, "You are charged with unauthorized beacon modifications, cross-temporal interference, and the distribution of unlicensed smooth jazz across ministry bandwidth." Jorik saluted lazily through the hollow feed. "And saving half the galaxy from turning into a bumper car derby," the panel muttered. One official whispered, "My nephew's ship was in that queue. Said it was the best concert of his life." Another nodded. Our entire convoy came back stress-free. Crew fights down 90%. Pella pinched the bridge of her nose. "Be that as it may. We cannot allow a precedent." She straightened, voice formal. "Therefore, Operator Jorik Lanes, you are hereby reassigned." Jorik leaned forward. "Reassigned?" "Yes. Effective immediately, you will no longer manage Node 17B. You are being promoted to Beacon Operator of Node 49 Omega." Fennel whispered in his ear. 49 Omega. The single most useless beacon in existence. It oversees a wormhole that connects to itself. "Wait," Jorik said. "You're posting me to a loop." "Correct," Pella said. "No traffic. No anomalies. No temptation to install jazz. Perfect for someone with your talents." The panel adjourned, leaving Jorik staring at his mug. A week later, the transfer complete, Jorik sat in the new lighthouse. It was identical to the old one, except lonelier. The wormhole outside burped lazily into itself, accomplishing nothing. Fennel broke the silence. "Congratulations. We have achieved maximum irrelevance." "Perfect," Jorik said, sipping his coffee. "Now I can get some peace." The console pinged. Jorik froze. "No. Impossible. This beacon connects to nowhere." The ping came again, followed by static. Then a cheery voice, "Hi. Is this tech support? We've been on hold since last week. You have the best hold music. Can we have more?" Fennel sighed. "The Echo network has followed us." Another voice chimed in. "Excuse me, Lighthouse, this is the Periwinkle. Sir Chompers wanted to say hello." A third, "Wedding renewal complete. We've named our child after your jazz track." Jorik covered his face with one hand. "I've created a monster." "No," Fennel said. "You've created a following." Jorik groaned, then reached for the controls. "Fine. Open channel. But we're doing this my way." The wormhole shimmered, pulsing faintly in anticipation. Jorik keyed the mic. "Attention all ships, welcome to Node 49 Omega, home of the Galactic Nowhere Loop. Please form an orderly line. And remember to tip your Lighthouse Keeper." He flicked the switch. The saxophone purred back to life. The wormhole sighed happily. Voices across time and space answered back, a chorus of laughter, greetings, and gratitude. Jorik leaned back in his chair, smiling despite himself. "Fennel," he said, "log this as official protocol." The air groaned. "What title shall I file it under?" Jorik raised his mug in salute to the humming beacon, to the ships, to the absurdity of it all. "Call it the Lighthouse Jazz Protocol, Volume 2. And that was the Lighthouse Keeper, the tale of one man, one beacon, and the unexpected consequences of answering the wrong number. Across time. If you enjoyed this satirical sci-fi story of loneliness, bureaucracy, and a little cosmic absurdity, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more original tales every week. Until next time, keep your signals clear, your coffee strong. And always listen closely to the echoes in the void. Because every signal in the void has a story,